Hello everybody, I'm Andy Pruitt, Director of Communications and Technology with Charleston County School District, and welcome to this installment of CCSD Insights, News, and Notes. The state report cards recently came out for the state, and we're going to speak with the Executive Director of the elementary schools, Michelle Simmons. Michelle, thank you for joining us to talk about the results that we've seen across the district from the state report card. And as we get into this conversation, go back to last year. It was the first year the state had issued state report cards in a few years. And the formula was different than what it had been a few years before. So some of the high-performing schools in our district at the elementary school level got some scores they weren't ready for, were kind of caught off guard by. What do you think elementary school administrators have had to adjust to when it comes to the current formula for the state report cards?
Right, so you're absolutely correct. The last school year was the first year in about 3 to 4 years we had received a state report card. So in past years, we had an instrument that gave an overall rating to the district itself, and then every school had two separate ratings. They had what we called an absolute rating, and then they had a growth rating. With this particular instrument, you're going to get one overall rating, but embedded in the framework, you have categories. So there's a category that evaluates overall achievement in reading and math. There's a category that looks at science and social studies separately. There's another category that looks at progress and growth, and at the same time we're looking at how our English as a second language students are doing, how we're growing all students, how we're growing the lowest performing students, and student engagement. So in and of itself, the new instrument has so many different components than our past instruments had. I think that was a big adjustment for all of us, people at the building level and those of us at the district level.
And moving forward in this conversation, you mentioned the growth factor, you mentioned the proficiency factor. For those who might not understand the difference or how they're related, can you give me a brief explanation about what the state report card is looking at when it comes to student growth and what it's looking at when it comes to student proficiency?
Sure, so I'll start with student proficiency. So for the most part, achievement and proficiency are interrelated. We're talking about grade level expectations and grade level standards. Are students able to successfully negotiate grade level standards and master them? That's achievement. That's proficiency. At the same time, year after year, we want students to grow. That's that progress indicator. So if you want to look at it in simple terms, after a year of instruction, are we adding value to a student's academic and educational experience? So growth is important because it lends itself, it feeds into the overall academic achievement of students. So you can't discredit one or the other. Our bottom line is achievement and proficiency, but growing students year by year allows us to get at that achievement.
All right, and then when it comes to, you mentioned the word value, as it relates to the state report cards, how much value do you think that we as community members, parents, the students, the teachers, the school level administrators should put into this state report card?
Sure, I think that's a valid question. So you can look at it this way. The state report card is a measure, and I think it's credible and it's valid and it's reliable information in that it accounts for so many different measures. You're looking at overall achievement, but you're also looking at growing. Everybody's accountable for growing their students every year. And so I think in and of itself, it's a measure that we should pay attention to, but in the grand scheme of things, it's still one indicator. Our state report card doesn't account for early childhood measures. So we all know that the primary grades, our students in the 4 and 5-year-old age bracket, what we do and invest in them is going to allow us to be successful in the latter grades. And so the report card, while it only focuses on testing grades 3 through 8, we know that there's a lot more information that goes into the overall success of a school. So in and large, I believe that the report card is valid, it's reliable, it's credible information, but it's one piece of information that the public at large can use when they evaluate, when they try to determine what school is a good fit for my school.
All right, so looking at the results from this year, significant gains made in the elementary school learning community, which I know the principals all have to really be excited about. And maybe starting from the schools that received unsatisfactory ratings last year. So all of the elementary schools that were unsatisfactory in 2018, all of them moved up by at least one rating level. Some moved up 2 rating levels. Mm-hmm. How did that happen?
Sure. So we're really excited about that movement because that's what we ask when we have conversations with schools and building level leaders. We're looking for growth and movement from one year to the next. And all of those unsatisfactory rated schools did just that. They moved a level. I think it comes from a formula. There's no one indicator or one level of support that impacts that kind of growth and achievement, but I think a serious, intentional, and deliberate focus on curriculum, instruction, and assessment is a big part of what we do as building level leaders in terms of ensuring that students have a guaranteed and viable curriculum. That means everybody has an equal opportunity to be successful in the classroom, and then using our assessments to drive and to inform instruction. So we can't get around testing and assessment because it's going to allow us to understand where scholars start and where we need to get them to. And so I believe that intentionality around setting goals, being strategic with our strategies and our interventions, whether it's enrichment, whether it's remediation or acceleration, we have a solution, I should say, for every student and groups of students in every respective grade, in every respective building.
Another component of the state report card are standardized tests. And that's the proficiency factor we looked at, which makes up 35 to 40% of the report card for elementary schools. Which grades participate in the state tests for English language arts, math, social studies, and science, and how do we do district-wide in those subjects?
Sure. So for grades 3 through 8, every student in grades 3 through 8 will take the math and the reading assessments. That's standard.
English language arts.
English language arts, reading, writing, all of that is embedded in that English language arts component. So that's standard for everyone 3 through 8 to take math and ELA. But the science and the social study is divvied up between the grade levels. So for the last year, grades 4, 6, and 8 took the science, and grades 5 and 7 took the social studies indicator. But for the upcoming school year, we're going to discontinue the social studies altogether. So we'll be focused on the reading, ELA, the math, and the science moving forward. And in large part, we showed progress. We do have gaps and indicators of readiness that are still lagging district-wide, but in large part, we showed progress at every indicator in terms of overall. For science, our science was lagging behind social studies, but that coincides, that relates to math. Math has been a struggle for us district-wide, and as we shore up our math curriculum, science will lend itself to more improvements as well.
And that kind of leads into my last question. Overall, again, the data, the report card results show that there has been an improvement made district-wide, but there is always room for improvement. I think in education, more so than maybe other career fields and other areas of our society, we're always looking to improve, always looking to grow, always looking to become more proficient. Where can we as a district at the elementary school level improve so that the schools continue to move in the right direction? Not so much as they worry about the rating in the state report card, but just performance, proficiency, growth.
Right, so the elementary, middle, and high school learning communities are housed under the umbrella of learning services. So our division has been intentional on shoring up our curriculum in terms of making sure that every student has a guaranteed and viable curriculum. So at the elementary level, we have rolled out the Bridges math curriculum, and in ELA, we're rolling out the Open Court phonics component, because we understand that early literacy, a foundation and a strong phonics and phonemic awareness program is going to allow students to become stronger readers moving forward. So I feel like that intentionality around our curriculum, giving school leaders a framework for continuous improvement. How do we get better at this work every year? I don't think we master it because the education field is constantly evolving. We don't master it, but our intention, our goal, our priority is to improve every year. So we've had a focus on curriculum, continuous improvement, and just getting better every year, Andy.
All right, Michelle, thank you very much for your time and for your insight onto this. And thank you for watching this edition of CCSD Insights News and Notes.